The problems in business, first time you've ever experienced them is almost a win because you are now in uncharted territory and you're growing, right? And that might be the delusional optimism side of things. But like quite literally in most cases, if you're in business and this is the first time you've ever come across this problem, it might actually just be because you're in a place you've never been before. And so like, give me the first time problems. Like I want those. Like that's literally what I signed up for. You know, like I love solving problems. I love the shit rolls uphill, you know, like I hate to say this, but a lot of times the solution for the problem, almost no matter how big it is like, okay, now we just move on. You know, like sometimes with problems, it's because there's like literally just this like one route that has to go now that we didn't want. But in reality, it's like, okay, then we now know what the solution is. That sucks. Let's get past it.
Michael Jackson had a producer one time, and he told the producer, like, when I'm in the studio, it always runs. It always runs. The track is always running. There's no exceptions to this rule. And like one day he came in and just kind of like freestyled a song and was like, all right, run it back. And the producer was like, it wasn't running. And that was his last day.
Yeah, there's been times like that before where we've gone out to get content and you've got your shot list, you know, and like the most magical thing happens like outside of the shot list and like you missed the best part of it because it wasn't part of like, you know, you weren't going into it thinking that you needed that. You didn't have a camera on, you weren't recording. And I'm like, damn,
yeah,
should have had a camera on. Did your camera on by chance? Like,
I know, man. I know.
Okay.
Sometimes I think the best moments of podcast recording right after I go, okay, we're done. And I hit stop. I'm like, just say stop and just keep rolling.
Yeah.
No, but okay. So here's what I was going to say. I have a wooden watch and I love this watch, man. It's different. Everywhere I've gone, that watch has created a conversation. There's not a single place I've gone where someone hasn't been like, I had a person at the airport crawl back from like being in line to get on the plane to be like, bro, that watch is so cool. But compared to other, like, I wouldn't do that for a Rolex. I wouldn't do that for any kind of watch. Like I'm not crawling over somebody to tell them about the watch. I think with high-end watches, it just gets weird when you do that. But I think this move of you getting a golf cart is kind of like the wooden watch. Like no one's going to come up to you if you're taking a phone call in a Lambo. But if people come up to you with a golf cart, I mean, I think this might be a thing, man.
So that is the reason I got it. Yeah, like, I mean, it's a company expense even to that degree because I was like, you know, I spent 2 hours at Kierland Collins and Scottsdale Quarter, and I'm like, okay, so this is where I need to be. And, you know, like I see there's G-Wagons and Lambo. I went on a Sunday and it was just like absolutely insane. All the cars that were just parked in valet. I'm like, I think babe, I think it's a car show. You know, I'm like, no, it's Sunday. Scottsdale Quarter. And so I'm looking around and there's these two older guys in like, you know, there's like the younger crowd, the guys in the Lambos, I'm from the younger crowd, you know, like 30 to 50, got a Lambo, you know, there's some younger guys, there's some older guys. And then there's like these two guys in Tommy Bahama shirts, flip flops, you know, they got their girls with them. One of the guys even had like a beer, you know, like riding shotgun in his golf cart, you know. And I'm like, these guys, like, they've got to figure it out. Like, you know, like, and they don't even, and they have more money than the guys with Lambo, I'm assuming, but they're like just sitting here enjoying life, you know? And I'm like, I want to go hook up with those guys. So I call my business partner and I'm like, I'll make the case and we'll have some metrics to answer to this. But I was like, we need a golf cart. Like, we need a sick golf cart. And if I want, you know, like custom seats, I want it to look luxury. It doesn't have like my logo on it or anything, but it's just like, damn, that is just dope. Like even today, this morning, I told you we drove it over. There's a guy that like waved me down and was like, dude, I need one of these. He's like, I just moved into Optima. He was like, I just moved here from Colorado. He's like, this thing is sick. I've got his phone number, you know, and it's like it's not aggressive. It's not flashy. It's not in your face. It's just like presenting just this like lifestyle that actually is just super enjoyable. And it like literally warms my heart to like go to take my girlfriend to Starbucks with my dog and just cruise in the sun and just like take a phone call. So yeah, the intention really was like, I think this could really help us like connect with people and, you know, and network. Just going to start offering people rides also as I'm cruising back and forth when the temperatures start picking up, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some people like want some shade and a good conversation. So Yeah, but yeah, you sniffed it out. That was the purpose.
Well, there's two things that really speak to me in that. One, I think you mentioned sort of these guys are winning, and it's almost interesting to, I'll use a different word. It's almost a reduction of what you think you need to get to the place that you can just be intentional. You can sit with your friend and just have a conversation. I think sometimes we make it complicated. We're like, well, I have to have the Lambo to then get to the place where I can, I don't know, be flashy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true at all.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The other thing that comes to mind is that I think of the dynamic between power versus force. Oh, this is actually a great fucking yes. So Lambo, right? 964 horsepower, really dialed in, powerful machine. But again, I don't think many people are going to walk up at like a mall and talk to the person getting out of that car. There is a particular archetype of who buys that probably also comes with not approachable or not friendly or, you know, who knows, arrogant. But a golf cart says so much more about like attracting conversations, right? Someone seems approachable, like it's their day off, they're casual, it's just such a distinction. And I think the Lambo is very forceful to attracting people. And then the golf cart is much more powerful. Force pushes, power stands. And I just love the dynamic of attract people.
Yep, you're right. I was shirtless when this guy came up. I was literally in the golf cart. I had like a body bag on, like for my belongings, and like had my sunglasses on, you know. And he's like, "Dude, you know, like I want to hang out with that guy, you know. Like he looks like you're having fun out here." And like the whole conversation was us just smiling and talking about it. And he's like, "You know, I need one of these so bad." And right, like you wouldn't have like, yeah, that you would maybe think that. I mean, even myself, as someone who likes to network and stuff, I still that would be hesitant to just like directly approach somebody like right as they're getting out of their Lambo because they have a Lambo, or you like with the, you know, with the high end watches. It's you know, it's a weird balance, I think, between it all, but it definitely does not come across as approachable, which I think is the number one goal really when you're trying to network.
This is also a part of your space, right? You got a marketing agency, Social Hustle's done really well. And if you're looking to stand out, you kind of need this mindset as well, where if everyone's buying a $200,000-$400,000 car to stand out, it doesn't stand out anymore.
Doesn't, yeah.
And I think there's something about,
I've had that thought here in Scottsdale.
yeah, like, so I live right across the street from the W. In the W, I can always I go for runs and biking. I take my son out on strolls and put him on the front of the bike, and like, I can always be guaranteed to go buy that little atrium that they have and have a guessing game of what model the car is, because it's so unique and so special. McLarens, Ferraris, Lambos, you name it, they're there. And it almost desaturates the specialness, because every time I go by, the same neon green McLaren is there. And it's cool to see a McLaren, but after a while, I'm like, well, it's just another car.
Yeah.
And in the space of let me stand out and be different, which can largely be the purpose of our conversation today, maybe, is like, if you try so hard to stand out, A, it's not authentic, and B, you're not really standing out because you're matching everybody. Like, how do you help people find the authenticity that really attracts from a lens of being themselves and being unique when it comes to brands? Like, because I think brands and people are very similar when it comes to that.
Very, very. It desaturates it, but you are going to attract the wrong crowd, right? If you're like, I've got to do this for this reason, it's like, I'll be honest with you, like I don't have a supercar, but I would be just as excited having that being delivered as having this golf cart being delivered. I kept messaging the guy, and I was like, you know, I've never had kids, but I'm like, dude, I feel like I am like waiting on an induction day, you know? And I'm like, you know, how's everything going? You know, like, don't let me down. I'm expecting it to be like this Friday morning. Like, is it for sure going to be this Friday morning? Right, you know? And because like, I literally was just so excited about having it. And did I get it for like the approachable networking reasons? Yes. But the first reason was because I was like, I want to take like my girl and our dog just up the street and get coffee on like on a Monday morning. Like that's wild. We did it, we did it
Great.
today on a Monday morning. We took it out there and like, yeah, you get the looks of just like, man, like I could see it in people's eyes that are like, man, like that would be so fun to just be out riding in a golf cart right now. And so like that was the reason that I got it. And the guy that came up to me today, Phil, who I met, who just moved into the Optima, like he felt that same thing,
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't have, if I would have been in a Lamborghini, it probably is not Phil that came up and said, "What's up?"
Nicely said.
It's another guy.
Yeah.
So, like you want to attract those people that you're going to vibe with. And if you try so hard to stand out, you become not yourself, then you're going to create a circle of all these people that match up with that character that you created, but not you,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think staying true to really what is you is another way to attract what you want.
The way you said that makes me guess that you've had experiences on both sides of the fence where you were attracting people, but it was largely based on a character. Has that been your experience? Have you drifted and had to come back?
Maybe I've stayed pretty true to character. I will say, most times when you're growing your business, sometimes that's difficult, and this is just my opinion, doesn't necessarily have to be everyone's, but like when you have a small business and you don't have all of like the case studies, or you're just building your brand, or you're like going to be, you're a coach and you're new to the space and you don't have the proof. Like sometimes you feel like you may need to be very loud about the small wins that you do have. And you're like, like, look how great we are because of these things. And so certainly there's been times where I've had to, overstate and over amplify things that we have done because we really truly didn't have a lot of those wins because we were so young, right? And so sometimes as people, I think we can maybe step outside of ourselves just for the, in our hearts, like the goodness of trying to grow and trying to get business, right? And you are then now stepping into those lines of starting to maybe be someone that you're not, maybe, then that might prompt conversations with a business that you're not ready to help. They come in, they're like, oh, shit, you told us you did all that amazing stuff. Like, here we are ready to go. And you're like, whoa, this, you have it off way more than I could chew here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean all that stuff I said to you guys, I'm new. And so, yeah, like there's been times of that. I'm just like, where, and less times where it got us into this great situation we couldn't handle, and more times where like you might attract other people that are actually over amplifying the things that they're really good at and trying to be braggadocious and egotistical and aren't really giving you accurate information. Sometimes you feel that at like, we were talking about networking events before this. The one downside that I feel like at networking events, this could be my own personal experience, is just it seems like everyone is always doing so well. Everyone is always like crushing it. Everything's going
ever.
Yeah, like, and it's kind of like, man, we're not all here because everything's perfect and we're just here to help other people, like, tell me the truth, like what's going on. Like, I'll be honest with people, and I'll be like, right now my Google Ads team is like, we're slow right now and we need like a few more accounts over here and like, to help us keep profitability in that area or whatever the case may be. And so, yeah, like I have and that comes from historically going somewhere and being like, oh yeah, like we're doing great, the company's growing so big, and then you get to the end and I'm like, yeah, well, I just told everyone that I'm good. So yeah, of course, like no one's ready to, hop on board or learn how we can help them or whatever, because I just went in there telling everyone that like we're crushing it, everything's going great, or my business is big, I'm so good, we're so good, thank you. And now everyone's like, okay, well, I can't relate to that. So,
Yeah, to me, it sounds very similar to the Lambo, the golf cart, right? The Lambo is like, hey, everything's fine, everything's awesome. Like, check out the cool paint on this thing. And the golf cart's like, hey, it isn't always sunshine and rainbows here. And I find that in entrepreneur land, the hardest thing to break through at like a big networking event is essentially vulnerability. It's the courage to say, here's what I need, or here's what I need help with. Or even that even if the business is going well, that there's not a cost of that. And there's almost this, let's be robotic kind of flavor that to me desensitizes and devalues what someone's like brand is when they're like, everything is awesome in my life, in my personal life, in my health, in my I'm like, hold up, man. there's like 7 pillars. If there's 7 pillars in life, I've never had 7 firing on all cylinders at their max. Maybe I dial them all back and they're all firing, but it's very hard to optimize for any particular 1, 2, or 3 without a cost to the other 4. And I'd love to know how you make sure that you're showing up authentically, how you do that with your team, and then how that radiates to clients who are also trying to build a brand and grow.
First, it's transparency and being honest. Second, I think as humans, like, we have to be okay with not hitting on all 7. Like, what disappoints people the most and what has made me the most sad, the most down, the most beat up is at times when I had set expectations for myself and asked a specific amount or thing out of myself and then didn't get there. And if I would have set the target where I hit, would I have been fine? Maybe, if I, like, I'll use the gym as something where in my 20s was like incredibly important every day. I was going to the gym. Part of it was just for, good habits and routine. Part of it was just, looking good, being, a single guy in his 20s. The other part of it was, just from a business perspective, I see all these personal development guys talking about, the guys that are like, 7-figure entrepreneur. Here's my routine. I'm up at 3:30, go to bed at 11 p.m. All right, only drink 2 coffees and some fish fillet throughout the day. And, and I'm like, okay, so like, let me do that. And then what I found was like, okay, so now I'm spread out. I'm not getting the stuff done that I want to do here. There's times when I could have been maybe enjoying more time with my friends or got more of the work done or whatever it was. And I'm like, I go to the gym and I've now reached like, I'm cool not going to the gym for months at a time if there's something that I'm working on of importance that I've got to do, right? Like moving into this apartment out here in Scottsdale and like some of the things that are happening at Social Hustle and the attention that's been required to those. And then quite literally the amount of opportunities that I have to put myself forward in a financial and career and personal wise have superseded the gym. And I'm like, I'm not going to, next 90 days, I'm probably not even going to go to the gym once. I'm probably just going to stay focused on all this stuff. And I don't get sad about it. I don't get disappointed about it. I don't feel like I don't get discouraged. I haven't failed. I actually feel better about it because I've put my heart and soul to these other things so that I can do it. So being transparent with the people around you so that they know what you're on. And it's not like, why Dalin hasn't gone to the gym in like the last 3 months. Like, we keep inviting people to the gym. Like, what's going on, So, just being transparent with everyone. And I think that helps the answer of showing up for everyone else is like showing up for yourself, like that's the easiest answer. And so when you can come in and just let everybody know what you're on and be very transparent and be open with things, and then, then they will either choose to do the same or not, but you're not forcing them. You're not, you got to lead by example. And I think that's really the only way to go around do it. And that's really how we do it at Social Hustle. I'd say we're all it's still a small company, right? We have like 22 employees or something, where it's not like so massive that like we can't control the culture and, control how, control everything. We have random groups in Slack for pets of Social Hustle and the people that have pets so they can share their information together. And we have, like fitness chats and things like that. So I know who everyone is at Social Hustle. Like, I know, like, Chase likes to party and have a good time and travel around the world. And Monday, he might be groggy on Monday mornings, then, like, and he might call out on a Friday because he's got to go somewhere. But like, he'll tell me that that's literally why he's calling it on a Monday or why he's leaving on a Friday. And it's Chase, and I love him for it. And I can literally depend on Chase being Chase. And so that, I think, is the key, like, just for everyone and career-wise, personal, is just being totally fine with who you are. Don't be sad because you're not something else because, Instagram says you should be or whatever the case may be, and let everyone else know it. And if you feel bad enough about it, this is something that I've learned. If you feel bad about something that you're doing or not doing that you wouldn't share with people, then that's actually one of the core things that you probably should care about. Right? Like, if I can get by with saying, got like to my boys in a fitness chat, I'm like, I'm out on the gym for the next 90 days. I'm like, I'm dialed in right now. Like, I'm working on Social Hustle. And, out on the gym doesn't mean I'm not going to jog on a Saturday if I wake up early and have some time or whatever. But it's not like I'm 6 days a week going to the gym hitting it. And I don't feel bad about it at all. I really don't. What I feel way worse about is if I say I'm going to be coming to the gym with you guys this week and it's 6 o'clock, I'm like, boys, I'm still knee deep in this stuff and I can't go.
Yeah, there's a lesson in that I have also run into lately, and part of it, I think you mentioned that if you're really listening to what Dalin's saying here, I hear expectation is deadly. And I think in entrepreneurship, one of the, actually, this goes way beyond entrepreneurship. The expectation that you set for yourself is a really delicate spot before you actually end up creating problems. I used to set these goals where I would build out a year. So I'd say like 52 weeks this year. I don't know, I'll read a book. Then I'm like, all right, well, there's a couple weeks off here and there. I'll make it 48. But what was really interesting is by time, let's say February rolled around, if I didn't have significant progress, in my mind, I'd be like, I can never, it's mathematically impossible for me to hit that. I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to stop because I can't hit it. And so I think expectation has this really delicate balance. Expectation, though, is also a part of the way we talk to ourselves, the things we do with our partner, our significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, dog friend, whatever. It's also a big thing that we do with clients. And as much as we might want to get these expectations super high and live way beyond what we know and fulfill a dream, it's also a really delicate process. Like, how have you learned to dial in your expectations with clients, with people, and make sure they're a little bit stretched to make you grow, but they're not so far that, a single misstep and you're back at zero?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because it's like it's such a delicate balance of, and as entrepreneurs, like we're trying to go to the moon, right? I'm trying to make as much money as I can. I feel like I got the capability to make as much money as I can. I'm always like option D, all of the above, like we can do it. And I'll maybe even, give Chris, my business partner, a shout out because he is the yin to my yang. He is the balance. I'm like, let's go for it. Let's do it all. He'll take a look at the numbers and be like, 75% of this actually looks really doable, don't you think? And I'm like, all right, we can get by with 75%, probably, sure. So, having people around you, I think, to help make those expectations, those goals, whatever you're setting, measurable from a tangible perspective. You're not like, there's a guy I talked to who just started his business, and he's a dreamer, and he's like, I'm trying to clear $300,000 in profit as like a coach this year, and he might be able to do it. But also, I was like, man, that's just it's a weird way to go about your year. I didn't say this then, but I'm like, it's a weird way to go about your year to have this wild expectation about this thing that you've never done before. It's like a side hustle for him. I'm like, you're definitely shooting for the stars right here. And it was really not based off of a law. It's not like out of the first 3 months of the year, we did X. We think if we do these things, we're going to be able to multiply those. And that's how we get to this $300,000 in profit at the end of the year. It was like, I want to be a millionaire by 30. It's like, okay, well, like that's a cool goal, but like, what are we doing to get there? Or like, why do you want to be a millionaire at 30? So I think you with your goals to keep yourself in the realm of reality is like actually find marking sticks, measurements of success that can help you in an algorithmic way get to that goal that you're setting, if it's like financially or like numbers related. Because I will be like, for your first of the year planning, it's like, how much is the Google ads? And I'll throw out some crazy number. How much is our TikTok team going to do? Then the TikTok team comes up and they're like, well, this is what we think we can do because of here's how last quarter went. Here's how this quarter went. Here's how we're projecting to raise the ad spend of these different clients. And then it's like, okay, I'm the guy that just throws that like random number at the very top, like that up there, whatever the top is up there. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. So having actual like things that you're measuring or like you in the books, right? Like, you at least you went, there's 52 weeks in a year. I'm going to give myself 4 weeks off, 48 books. There's some rhyme or reason to how you get to that 48 number, now that's still an aggressive number, but at the same time, right? At the same time, I applaud you for at least having like this, here's how I got to this number, not I'm going to be a millionaire at 30 random thing. So that would be it. And being okay with shifting your goals. So monitoring them and checking them often, because a slight shift doesn't ever feel as bad. If you hop into your book progress in July and you're like, holy shit, I read 4 books and I've got to get to 48. Hopefully, so I failed and it's gone. I'm going to spend the rest of the year being bummed about this fucking book goal that I set that I didn't think. Right. And so checking in on it often. So 48 turns in February, turns to 43. It's like, okay, like that's fine. I missed a couple weeks. I'm going to do 43 now. And then maybe by the time you get all the way to the end of the year, it ends up being 31. And you're like, because of all this other stuff that I worked on and I moved, I was okay with changing my goal. And the reason I didn't read some of those books wasn't because I was just taking time off. It's because I put my time into some other good things. Then I don't think in most cases you're disappointed at the end of the year. You have something continuing to work on. You don't get that like death gut feeling of just like, my gosh, I fail and I can't do it. And it's February. I have 10 months to just reflect about how I didn't hit my book goal. So yeah, measurements of success, monitoring it often, and being okay with reducing or increasing the goal.
So, man, I really want to dig on this because I do find that the narrative around changing goals is really delicate. I remember that year, I think I ended up reading like 30, which is still a bananas amount of books. But the story I told myself was, like, so-and-so read more. Or if you only had done better, you would have, like, I can't even remember what those books were about. It's so many books. But I think whatever your metric is, that might be revenue, that might be profitability, that might be number of clients. Everyone has their own KPIs or should, but the objective in all of this change really comes down to how do you preserve your mental health and how do you preserve your optimism? That's my opinion. That how do you preserve your mental health and your optimism around your goals? Because if an entrepreneur landslides in optimism, everyone around them also landslides down. It's just something I've seen with teams. We do a lot of work with teams, but when like you're working on the back end for companies, like you're probably reporting to CEOs and directors and CMOs that like they kind of rely on optimism. When you go through these changes and when you go through dips in optimism, does it affect your team? Because it certainly has affected mine.
It affects the team, certainly. Even though, Chris, my business partner, and Dalin, maybe the founder, CEO of Social Hustle, are the team that we have assembled, I think really take the wins and losses to heart because they are the ones that are like in the account, like dedicating themselves to it. And optimism is something that like you can fake it to a certain degree. You really can force yourself to be optimistic. We've all been in like, terrible situations, whatever our terrible is. And it took optimism. And we maybe have even been in times where we didn't believe that optimism, but we were still like telling ourselves that, and we had optimism. So there's something to optimism that I think it's got to be a core trait that you define that as something that you will have because it's going to be tested forever, like in every aspect of your life. And so it's almost like once you check into that space, like there's no one that would tell you that I'm not an optimist. Like that would probably be if you asked the people like close around me that you would have optimists and synonyms of optimists in the first 3 to 5 words that they would describe as me. And it's just because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as someone with employees and other investments and goals, and like there's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of things not going the way that they should be going. There's a lot of plans that are not on plan. There's a lot of goals that are not on track. And like, if I waste the energy to even think or communicate with the team or backstep and backpedal, then in a lot of those cases, I don't feel like I would reach my goal. I don't feel like I have enough in my cup to pour out anything other than optimism in those situations, or it's actually taking away from the end goal and taking away from where we're trying to get to. And like, we only have so much gas in the tank. And so that's like, if you, again, showing up by example, if we operate that way and we are, backing up our employees and making them feel that, right? If a client had a bad month or a bad week or whatever, I mean, we deal in millions of dollars a month in ad spend with some of our clients, single clients alone. Like, there's a lot of the money that could be wasted. There's money that, teams on their side will find out, we're spending $1 million in a month on one of these platforms, and they find like, $8,000 that looks like it was kind of like irrelevantly spent, and we've got to have an answer for it. And our team members can take that on, right? Like, they can take the pain or the pleasure of the good and the bad. And so as leaders, we have to be like, hey, it's all good. Even if it's not all good in most cases, right? Like, there's certainly something said to be a manager. Don't let this happen again, da, da, da. But also, we're hiring people that know that. Like, we don't need to come in and say, what were you even doing over here? What's going on? It's like, we know whatever you did was because you thought it was the best thing to do in that moment. Let's figure out what it was, and then we'll move on. Let's figure out what caused the issue, not because we're trying to blame anyone, but because we're trying to prevent it from happening in the future, and let's move forward. We spent, $992,000 wisely. So let's just move on. And so I think that's, it's less about a specific tactic or strategy and more of just like, you commit yourself to being that person that'll always look at the good in every situation and then operate that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I can appreciate all of those sentiments too. The leadership required to say, hey, we're going to figure it out together as a team. And also we're going to hire people that are talented, equipped, capable enough to where the mitigation of this is already pretty high. Like, the risk is much lower.
Yeah.
How do you navigate saying no lately? Like, when you think of your personal life, friendships or relationships, people hit you up and they're like, bro, let's go do it. Let's go party hard. Or when people ask you questions about travel, or maybe possible clients say, hey, we want to bring you on. How do you think of no now? Because it's very different once you're seasoned.
Yeah. So this is great timing this year. Honestly, I think I maybe just became seasoned this year because
Congratulations.
Thank you. So first in my personal life, again, being transparent and being open with people. In my mid-20s, there's times where I'm like, man, I should probably, I lived in San Francisco. I lived in Austin, Texas. Now I live out here in Arizona. Like, those are two areas that know how to get down. There's a limitless amount of fun that you can have in San Francisco for 24 hours a day. And, the same with Austin. There's places in San Francisco that open up at 3 a.m. when the bars close, so the people have a place to go. It's called the End Up, and I'm like, sad that I even know the name of this place, but I've been there because I'm out having fun with my friends. And then and I don't have a problem with that. At that point in time, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to explore, and like, I wasn't putting myself into like, life changing, terrible decisions. I was out having fun, just like everyone else there was. And I was okay with it. And I was open about that. And like, I think my parents were worried about me a lot because I was so open. I'm like, man, we were out until like 2 a.m. last night. We were at the bar at home. There was like this homeless guy fighting on there. I was like, it was so sick. And I was always just transparent, open, because I'm like, this is the time of my life when I do this type of stuff. Like, I still show up to work on Monday morning. I'm not like hurting anyone else. I'm not, doing serious long-term damage to myself. I'm just like,
I'll deal with it later.
Right. And I'm being transparent. I'm being open with it. And then like maybe late 20s, I really started I wanted to commit myself more to my career and to social hustle and building up that company. But I also was still like committed to my friends that love to go out and love to have fun and wanted to party and wanted to do things. And so that's when I struggled saying no, and I wasn't able to say no because I wanted to do it. But I also, like, the persona of Dalin was this guy that always came out and had fun. He was always down for anything. I worked for myself. So like, anybody, you could hit me up Tuesday at 2:00 in the afternoon. And like, my friends knew I couldn't say like, like, boss is keeping me here today, like, come kayak with us, come do this. I had people in Austin just show up at my office like Wednesday afternoon and just come hang out and drink a White Claw, and I'm like, guys, I know I work for myself, but this is still a business I'm operating here, like,
come on, man.
And it's because I wasn't authentically mean who I really wanted to be. I wasn't like really coming out and being like, guys, like this is sick, but like no, actually I don't value hanging out with you guys as much as I value now just being here working on my business.
Interesting.
Right. And now I've crossed that threshold. Like I did not go to a wedding 9 days ago of somebody that I've known for a very long time, but honestly, it was not an extremely close friend of mine. You know, I met him a long time ago. We have a lot of stuff going on at Social Hustle, and I told him, and like, I don't know if this makes me an asshole, but I feel like so guilt free. I was like, bro, I can't make it right now. I got, got a whole bunch of work going on, and I just like focused on Social Hustle and some of this other stuff, and open with him upfront about it. That's transparently who I was and who the decisions that I want to make at the time, and I don't struggle to say, and I don't have a problem saying no. Like that's a wedding that I definitely went to 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Just because I was the guy that always traveled and went to all these weddings and didn't say no to anything. I mean, I've gone to Australia for a wedding before, and this one was in Sacramento. So like, much easier to be able to make it. And still I can guilt free say, no, I'm going to, it's not as valuable to me. And this is who I am now. And then to give you a no on the business side would be, I have finally realized the true cost of working with clients and in deals and in partnerships that you are not fully committed to, don't fully believe in, people aren't carrying their weight, that expectations weren't set correctly. Maybe we try to make something happen to get a deal and, it's not our specialty. We can't execute on it, or to execute on it, we have to go way above and beyond. Like the way that we do business is to whatever it takes to make our clients happy. So if the sales guy, which in most cases was me, set expectations incorrectly, then we were still going to try and be there and make it happen, which like destroys profitability, prevents you from scaling, wasted time, same basically as the first two items. And so we have gotten very strict with the stipulations that we put on businesses that can work with us. And it's not in a, like, what I don't like about how this was going to sound when we went this way is like, I don't want people to be like, to think that we're assholes and we only work with this, or it's just like a sales pitch of like, we're only taking on like 3 more clients, and like we've seen that type of stuff. And I always want us to operate transparently and honestly, but we have put in qualifications to be able to work with us. And if you don't match those qualifications and you don't have like these things in place, then we tell you we can't work with you. And the way that the no has become easier is because, again, we're being transparent about it. We're like, before we get through the phone call and get to know them, it's not like things pop out at the end and we're like, hey, you need to have X, Y, and Z in order to work this, and you don't, so you're out. It's like in the very beginning of the phone call, we will say, this is our minimum of ad spend that you guys need to be able to spend on a monthly basis. You need to have a solution for the creative that we run within the ad platform. If you don't have one, we can help you find one, but you've got to have one in place. You got to be paying for that. You also need to have staff to be able to help support this mission. If you are a owner operator and that's it, and you're trying to use us as your marketing agency, we know you don't have enough time in the day to grow as much as you can grow with us, to get us the answers that we need fast enough. It's just like 99% of the time when we're working with the business owner, they, justifyingly so, have a lot more to do than just this marketing campaign. So things like that, we come out and we say it, and we're like, and this is why we need you to have these things in place. So they weren't made up. It wasn't just like us trying to sound like, exclusive assholes that only want to work with, the certain people and F everyone else. It's just like, here is what you have to have success. And if you don't have these in place, then we can try and figure out how to get these things in place for you, but you can't work with us until they're in place.
I think that's really important. In a way, does that also help you be as successful as you can be? I think that you need certain criteria to be met so that you can be successful, which ultimately is about making them successful in the first place. Like it's a win-win, right? We both win when you are like this, and it's almost like the puzzle pieces, like they fit together. And if you're just not that puzzle piece, we're not going to try and force it.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Have there been moments in the past where the puzzle piece didn't fit and you had to learn the lesson the hard way?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I would say, and it's still to this day, I think we do that as humans, we do that in different parts of our lives. And it's very easy. Hindsight's 2020. It's very easy down the road to be like, "Oh, that was a waste of time," and it's harder in advance to always call those things out. But certainly, there's been times where, as a marketing agency, it's our job to help grow businesses. And as an entrepreneur, it's my passion to grow businesses. Like, there is nothing that geeks me out more than somebody coming to us with their plan and their dream and their goal and like how they want their life to look like in 5 years and where the business is going to be. And they hire us and we take them there. Or even the small businesses where someone comes in and I'm able to give them, it's a one-man band and it's a guy that just left the company and he's starting out on his own thing and doesn't know what to do. And I'm able to like provide the answers to be able to help him grow and get there. And I want to help. I'm always, is of my nature to seek to create a solution for this problem that this person has, rather than just present our solution. Right? It's like, okay, well, so you need a Google Ads agency, but you also need someone to do like a little bit of email marketing for you. Like, I probably have someone on the team that could help you figure that out, and that's not, you don't want to create a solution. You just want to, you have your solution already. It's been created, but you're just presenting your solution and it needs to match up. So the biggest thing that costs you is just the opportunity cost. It is the wasted time and attention and resources that are now focused on something that is not going to make you as much money as something else would, cause you to miss out on other opportunities. Like, I've turned down good business, because we were at capacity with some of this shit business that we took on because I tried to force something, right? Like, and again, in our personal lives, we do it. We take on too much and we get to the point where we're like, sometimes I'll get to where I've done too much. I can't even do the thing that I really wanted to do, because at that point I'm just like gassed and I'm like, I really actually wanted to play basketball today. But unfortunately, I spent all my time doing all this other stuff over here that wouldn't have been fulfilling. It was an actual waste of time, and as the business owner, like, shit rolls uphill, or whatever the saying is, like, there's never been a problem finding a total hustle that Chris and I haven't heard about because that's just the way that it goes, and so there's no shortage of those things. And whenever you put yourself into that situation, you commit yourself to something you should have said no to, you're going to just keep dealing with it until you can finally get through it, or you're willing to just like break it off.
Okay, so I want to ask this because now you're officially seasoned, like a good steak.
Yeah, I've got my certification now.
So if the ship constantly runs upstream, and we talked about optimism, there is like a degree. This also makes me think about the golf cart thing. There also is a degree of like, you have to be able to, at some point, handle problems without a complete dismantling of your day, of your morning, of your leadership, of your name it. And when things get heavy and hard, it aggregates and builds kind of like a snowman, and it can snowball pretty hard. But on the average, one of the things that I've been probably the most proud of over the last several years is that it takes a much harder punch to really discombobulate me. If I think about a day where things don't go well, I'm not quite the person that's like, just spend 5 minutes and freak out and then the rest of it's gone. Like, there are problems that last way more than 5 minutes when you run a business. But I do appreciate the wisdom of, well, this problem can't ruin the rest of the day. Like, I just don't have the luxury, I'm sure this is true for you too, to be in like a chaotic hurricane for 9 hours because of something that happened. Is that emotional maturity? Is that, I don't know, is it like the gym where the weight doesn't get lighter, you just get stronger? Like, what creates the ability for an entrepreneur to really handle that and still show up well?
So problems, depending on the problem, but problems in business, the first time you've ever experienced them is almost a win, because you are now in uncharted territory and you're growing, right? And that might be the delusional optimism side of things, but like quite literally in most cases, if you're in business or even, working for someone else or your personal life, and this is the first time you've ever come across this problem, it might actually just be because you're at a place you've never been before, which is a good thing, which is a great thing. And so, like, give me the first time problems. Like, I want those. Like, that's literally what I signed up for. Is like, like, I love solving problems. I love that. I love the shit rolls uphill. Like, for the most part, send it my way and I'll figure out a solution. A lot of times I hate to say this, but a lot of times the solution for the problem, almost no matter how big it is like, okay, now we just move on. Like, sometimes with problems, it's because there's like literally just this like one route that has to go now that we didn't want. But in reality, it's like, okay, then we now know what the solution is. That sucks. Let's get past it. Like, kind of the example I gave earlier of, let's figure out what caused this issue so it doesn't happen again. Not to place blame, but for all intents and purposes, like, bro, we're moving on now. Like, there's not much we can do. Dwelling on it is now just exponentially creating a greater loss. Which is another part of optimism, is like, if something was bad enough that you had to complain about it, like I had to literally out loud say something negative about this situation, then like, don't let it take any more of your life. Right? Like, you made a bad choice. Do not, you said you're going to go to the gym yesterday. You wake up today and you didn't go to the gym. Go to the gym right now and forget that you didn't go yesterday, and do not spend the whole day being sad that you didn't go to the gym yesterday, because now you didn't go to the gym. We're sad for one day. We're sad about not going to the gym for one day. And I can even set you off a whole day of, just your mindset and like the way you're doing everything. So like, just get past things as quickly as possible. Really, like, it's wasted spend to continue to be sad about it.
I like that you used the word spend there. Yeah, I used to tell athletes, you can make as many mistakes as you want, just don't make the second one right after it. And I think in sports, you're talking about basketball. Like in sports, the worst mistake you make is the one trying to make up for the mistake you just made. Like, you're just like an angry bull, just frustrated, and then you're emotional, and then the consequences aren't nearly as minimized in some ways. Then you're having collateral damage problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate that, and your use of spend made me think of one more thing. Like, you are responsible. You're a steward for people's finances, for their money, in the land of use this money to multiply. And that comes with its own responsibility. Like, it has a weight to it. So related to this, how have you also had to get better and better and better at managing responsibility and bigger numbers and bigger pressures and bigger challenges, in some ways, bigger problems? Like, you've got a really calm demeanor. You've got a very gentleness to you. And that, I know, comes with a lot of violence sometimes. It comes with a lot of pain and a lot of struggle and a lot of hardship.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so being honest and being transparent, I've said like quite a few times now already, but especially when it comes to doing business, can prevent like the immenseness of a problem, because maybe in advance you were able to say like, this could be the negative aspect of what we're doing right now. Right. And I'll use with the clients, and all of our largest clients, all of our most successful clients have a very aggressive nature of testing new things. And they look to us to test those new things. And we will recommend things that should be tested. And 50% of the time we're wrong, literally. And that means we're doing good. That means we're kicking ass. And so 50% of the time we have to come back and say, hey, Chris told me this one time and it blew my mind, and he made me calm, a little more calm. And he was like, I won't say the client's name, but he was like, I mean, we wasted like $2 million in spend last year. And I'm like, what, dude? Like, do we even know what we're doing? Like, that's scary, that thing, And he's like, well, dude, we spent like $12 million, and, we had X amount of percentage, like 15% testing budget for these new things. And, this is what we did. And we found out with $2 million that, it didn't work. And I'm like, holy shit, man, and he's like, no, it's okay. Like, that's what I told him going into it. And now we're able to, now we're scaling like crazy because we did it the way that we did it. And I'm like, man, like, and Chris was just as calm and as level headed as you can be while saying I wasted $2 million, like we're we're not Elon Musk or anything. And it was because it was like, we had a goal in mind. We knew that we were going to have some ways to spend, but we know what the wins that we did find are going to bring our money back. And I was open and honest with the clients in the first place, letting them know that this could go one way or the other. And so, not being afraid to set expectations correctly. Anyone in a sales role struggles with this because it is, you either got to be extremely morally sound or a bad salesman to not stretch or exaggerate things even in the slightest ever as a salesperson. Because as you're there, you're trying to emphasize how great things can be. And if you don't get people excited and don't build the value, then you might actually be doing a disservice. You may be underselling yourself. So that's a very delicate balance, but then that comes with the responsibility of, after there's a signed contract, making sure that like things go the way that you've said that they're going to go.
I really like that statement about, if you're not hyping it up, you're probably also being providing a disservice to people.
Yeah, what you have has value. That's why you're doing it, most likely. I mean, if you come in and you're afraid to tell me how much you think that you could help me, and I may never know. I'm not going to see it, and I'm going to miss out on that because you didn't pipe yourself up enough, while also not doing it to the point where you're a douchebag, you're dishonest, like you're exaggerating, you're being egotistical. I think it all comes from having good intentions. I feel this at networking events sometimes. Like, I will come across a business that I'm like, oh my gosh, like, if we just set you up a Google Ads account, like, you're not running Google Ads and you're like in this industry in this local, and I'll do a little bit of research and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like fucking money, like for them, we have a flat rate. Like, so, like, unless they started spending wild amounts of ad spend, then they're just going to spend the same for us. So it's like literally just a great opportunity for them. And I'm like, okay, Don, like, that's cool, like, I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh my gosh, like, I've got this perfect solution for you. But in reality, like, I have this perfect solution for them. And so I have to like tamper that down a little bit and make sure that I don't force it. And I try to build the value first. But there has been times where I felt like I have kind of gave people the short end of the stick a little bit because I didn't want to talk enough about how much I thought that we could help. And it came from pure intentions of wanting to help them. And that's why I feel bad about it, is because like, I wasn't actually just trying to get the sale. I wasn't trying to, force something on somebody so that I could, buy something with the money that they pay me. It was literally like, this is a commercial cleaning company in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm not running a Google Ads, which like, so there's like thousands of searches a month for commercial cleaning companies in Salt Lake City, Utah. So like, those are just examples, but like in my experience, a home run. Like, I can definitely help your business grow. How can I let you know that without making it seem like I'm just a sales guy ready to, say whatever to get you to sign a contract and go?
I get that, man. I think I kind of walk that thin line too. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I get it right. But I when I see it, I am often very excited to tell people like, hey, dude, I can help you. I can help your team. I can help your business. Man, just give me a shot. And I think what I've noticed when I do that is the fear in the back of my mind is like, am I just becoming a salesman like everyone else? And the way that I've navigated this, I'd love to know how you navigate it, is I say, how about this? Before you say yes to anything, let me show you what I can do. I give it to you. It's a little bit different in my industry, I suppose, but I can jump on for an hour, and in an hour, I'll chop you up in the best way possible. Or you can come on a coaching call on the podcast, or you can be here and for one of our events, whatever it may be. But I really try to add a lot before somebody invests.
Yeah.
How do you normally do it?
Same thing. Is I try and first let them know that I'm there for them regardless of like a contract, a social hustle, right? If there's like we're talking business, it's like, I have a passion behind this. I've been doing this like I saw a picture the other day on my phone. 2010 was the first digital marketing proposal that I sent out. So 14 years. I was 19 years old when
Dang,
that made that first digital marketing
that's
proposal.
awesome.
I'm like, literally, you can't be my age and have more experience in digital marketing. And so, like, I have a passion behind it. Social Hustle has reached a point where, like, we're doing fine. I don't have to have, every phone call is not like make or break anymore, or like we've got to get this client on. I'm like qualifying businesses now. Before it was like, what can I
Don't
do?
qualify me.
Yeah, literally, like commission basis, sure. Non-contract, sure. Like you can't pay for 6 years. Let's do it.
Perfect.
That's great. That's the best kind. And wow, it's now we're qualifying people. And so with that change comes a certain level of confidence, and people will come to us and be like, "Hey, I don't want to waste your time, but I have this business," and I will try and put them at ease of like, even if I sold Social Hustle today, tomorrow, I would take a phone call with you for business consulting, marketing consultant. You want to talk to me about something? Like, absolutely love this stuff. Like, let me just answer whatever questions you have for you. Tell me where you're investing in marketing. And I can even have my teams, like, as we start to get, I'll call it down the funnel, we have free audits that we will run for people. Like, if you're spending money in Google Ads account, just let my team have read access into it, and we will tell you if there's any wasted money. We create a 16-page audit that we will provide to you, and you can just give it to your current Google Ads team if you want. But because we just want you to have all the best information, and if it makes sense to work with us, to work with us. If not. So we give away our game plan of what we would do in marketing, what we would do inside the Google Ads account. We literally do not there's a word for it, but like withhold information or gatekeep information or anything like that. That's literally, if you hire us, this is what we're going to do. This is what you could expect. Take this to your team if you want to. But like, no pressure.
That's awesome.
And before that, I really try and let people know that it's like,
It's the golf cart method.
it's the golf cart method. Like, this is just something I love to do. Like, if you want to go have a beer and talk marketing, like any day of the week, and there's like no pressure at all, like working with Social Hustle. But that comes with, it's easy to be in this position now because like financially, Social Hustle can take a month of slow sales and 2 months of slow sales or whatever, and it would be okay. Whereas like, there's some people that may not be related to this as much as if you're still in that growth mode of your business. And it's much more difficult to be like, sure, yeah, you want to hang out on a Tuesday, and it's like, I don't know, if you're not interested in the shift, like I don't have time to be on the phone with you. Like there's different, every business has different journeys, but for us now, it's been, that's the side that we're on.
It's the golf cart method, bro. Like the golf cart is just a physical manifestation of your whole life.
It really is. Yeah. Like, I'm glad you're saying all this, because it's been one of those things where I'm like, do I just want a golf cart to be around in Scottsdale? And my brain is like,
trying to make sense of it.
So I went long and hard and did some research. I even sent my business partner like an aerial like Scottsdale quarter in the Curly Commons, and like businesses highlighted, the valet stands. And I'm like, dude, look at this. Here's the plan. And he's like, I get it. It's okay. You're good. And I'm like, I think I'm just trying to justify it to myself because I feel like this is really solid, but also I'm the one that's going to be cruising around in the golf cart with Scottsdale. And so my brain could be, kind of coming up to these conclusions. So you made me feel better about the investment, at least.
Well, I can appreciate that because I do the same with with my business partner. He'll usually say yes before I'm even like halfway done my like grandiose pitch and like long Coach Carter speech. He's like, yeah, I get it. It's fine. But I'll have, I think here's the way I've learned. It's really an intuitive thing, right? What your mind can't do is intuit. Like I know the golf cart's going to work. I can't explain why. It's just going to work. And then our mind goes, well, let me find the financials and the model. And I'm all for it. But I appreciate that you and I both have a business partner that are like, okay, got it. Let's go. I trust you.
Yeah. I've been very blessed with Chris as my business partner. He's like one of my best friends, and also like polar opposite of me from a, personality and skills perspective, I guess you could say. He hates walking up to somebody and trying to talk to him. He's not like our networking guy. I mean, if you sit next to Chris on an airplane, probably have one of the greatest conversations you've had in a while, but he would never just come up to you and talk to you. Where it was the same for me. If Chris provides me some of like the I mean, this man can put in work on spreadsheets and Excel sheets, and I'm always just like scrolling down to the bottom right corner to try and figure out like the too long didn't read version of whatever he's trying to get me to like, to pour through on this spreadsheet. And it's just because his skill set is on that side, and I can come to him, and he does trust my gut because that's, and also we just have very clear lanes of like roles and responsibilities, which is very helpful. Where like it's my job to acquire new clients, and if I think it's going to be done through the golf cart method, then that's my call. And Chris says that's your area. If Chris tells me we've got to invest in some software or hire too many people or whatever, then like I truly, back to putting your energy where it belongs, I don't even want to spend the time evaluating Chris's recommendation. Chris already did
that. Yes.
Like not like it's not that I'm not interested or I don't
it's
want to hear your reasoning. It's literally purely out of respect for you.
Yep.
And I don't feel the need to even know why you wanted to do that and that's why you're my business partner.
Yep. I trust you. Go.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. Social hustle. I'm so happy that we got to learn a little bit more about you behind the scenes, but also sort of inadvertently the golf cart method that is also the social hustle method. Yep. Nailed it. I would love for people to know a little bit more about where they can find you. We talked a little bit about some of those criteria and things like that, but if someone's like, hey, I could really use some help, where do they find you?
So Instagram's probably best for me, and it's hella casual on Instagram. And I think that actually is a little bit of a preemptive golf cart method in the naming of hella casual as well.
Man, but, it's just, dude, it's all like coming together. You can only connect the dots in hindsight, but I think we just did it.
That's the best place. Or LinkedIn. I have over the last year or so started to, I can't believe I'm saying this, but like revive my LinkedIn for a long time. I didn't see the value of LinkedIn, but honestly, like maybe this is me getting old. Like LinkedIn's pretty cool, honestly. Like there is some really cool people that are being authentic, and you can find some great people, stay connected with some great people. It's good for a business. So LinkedIn as well. And really I would say
man, you're seasoned, bro. You're seasoned.
Seasoned. That's right. Seasoned. And then for the people that I'm like can help the most really are just people in marketing that are looking for marketing strategies for their business, or business owners, entrepreneurs, and just give them I love talking marketing. So if anyone has a marketing plan that they want to go over, a business plan, their hopes and dreams and goals, I love talking to people about like, hey, I'm still full-time over here working for the man, but I eventually want to do this thing. What kind of money would I need to invest? What should I look out for? What's the order of things that I should do? All the way up to businesses that are doing, 75 million a year in revenue and are trying to get to 150 million a year in revenue. That's a specialty of where social hustle can help you grow. But as far as Dalin, like I just love talking shop, man. Like business and marketing is just so interesting to me, and seeing people set out on something and just go after it, and the sacrifices that I see people have to take to be an entrepreneur and a business owner, just like I have so much respect for it that I want to help however I can anytime.
Man, this was awesome. I will say follow him, pay attention to what's going on with social hustle. Even if you're not ready for that level of marketing, pay attention to what they're doing. You can often learn a lot from what people are doing at the next level and interpret that down. If it is a fit, I would highly recommend that you take him up on his offer. And obviously, fluid conversationalist, Dalin, this was a piece of cake, man. I had all this information lined up and teed up, and it just flowed, man. It was great. Golf cart lifestyle, man.
The golf cart lifestyle. That's right. I appreciate you having me, man. Like as soon as we met, I was like, I want to spend some more time with this guy. I think we just like sat down at your table, and I'm like, this guy right here. As soon as you started chatting, I'm like, I like this guy's vibes. So I really appreciate you letting me come on. And I'm assuming a lot of the people that follow you are very similar. So be excited to tap in with anyone else.
I'll put you on my list. We're going to start kicking off events here locally just to pull people together. So I will put you on the list for that. Let's find a time to get together. I'm happy to come up to the commons, and I can like pull up my binoculars out and just hunt down the golf cart.
You'll find me if you spend more than 4 or 5 hours at the Kieran Commons. I've probably been able to break away once and just cruise around.
Perfect.
Should come by. Well, we can go to lunch or something and come here. And like it is it's one of those good feelings in life to just be on a golf cart cruising the lunch.
That's
So
yeah.
I'm
Let's
trying to
definitely
spread that
plan
with
that.
as many people as I possibly can.
It's a good lifestyle, dude. Well, thank you again for being here. Pay attention to him. Big things are coming, and we'll see you at the next event, next retreat. If you need help getting out of your own way, I can help on one side. Marty can help on the other. We can help you get out of your own way. But I think on the marketing side, this guy has it figured out. Thanks for tuning in.